nationally as the USA's birthday. This is because in 1776, an all-white Congress comprised of many slave owners adopted an act that declared independence from Britain in the name of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness for white people. Every year, I am reminded of the gruesome history that is so ignorantly celebrated on this day. As it began to sink in that this nation was built on the backs of slaves and at the cost of a genocide of the previous native inhabitants, I also began to question and criticize the current established order in the U.S. and the idea of government and empire in general. How much do the slave-owning imperialist ethics that this nation was founded on resonate with the current state of affairs of the world's lone superpower? Economically, the lower class, working class, and lower middle class make up close to 80% of the American people. This means that the majority of the people who do the majority of the hands-on work to make the privileged consumerist American lifestyle possible reap the least amount of benefit. With the capitalist job market operating on principles of paying a minimum wage to workers in order to attribute maximum profit for CEOs, it's no wonder that theft by employees totals nearly $40 billion in this country each year. Some security experts predict that up to 30% of the nation's workers will steal at some time in their career. But who is stolen from whom? Are the products and services we make possible worth being forced into positions where our time and our lives are commodities themselves, being bought and sold at the lowest price for maximum return? It seems the slaves were freed by the white elite only to join the masses of those exploited and enslaved by hierarchical capitalist economics. Now we all need to free ourselves. I do not aspire to attain a position of power and wealth to achieve the isolated, indifferent independence of the wealthy. I aspire to redefine and reshape society in my life, and to remain open to the idea that things can, should, and will be better if I continue to join others in doing what I can to bring an end to exploitation, racism, sexism, homophobia, hierarchy, and the capitalist culture that facilitates these ideological dinosaurs. Those who see this holiday for the historical blemish that it truly is, began to organize an annual march on the 4th of July to create an opportunity to refuse to celebrate it traditionally. We use the title Independence Day in irony to demonstrate our desire to mobilize in order to one day declare a new independence from the current social order. History shows us that revolutionary social change is not only possible, but inevitable. Also, it is up to us to begin implementing new ideas, cultures, and practices to render the current ones obsolete and to ensure that revolutionary social change will be preferable when this empire falls. If you are among those who wish to see and be a part of significant revolutionary social change, you must act and you must do more than hold a sign on a permitted march such as this. You must deviate from the rigid and stifling confines of what is permissible, break and stretch the boundaries that allow the society to continue its horrendous operations. You must create and destroy, tear down and build. Empires fall, and another world is possible.
Bravo.
Okay, so essentially what we're going to be doing is we're just going to be marching. A lot of you know the route, some of you don't. It's not essential that you know the route. I'm sure there's several banners and signs. Everybody should grab one, hold one. If you get a banner, choose a partner and hold it tight, like you're constantly pulling with your partner, and you're holding it where it's visible and stretched tight. And people with bigger banners, such as the large one against the tree over there, should head towards the front so there's a visible presence in the front. Anyway, the idea this time around is to have a literature assault, essentially. I have a whole lot of stuff here for distributing, so everybody take a handful or a couple things, whatever you can fit in your pockets or hold along with the sign, and just approach people and don't ask them, would you like, let's say, here, this is yours, take this. That way they don't tell you no, and they can have it. That way you're implementing these ideas and getting things out to people. Some people might have a couple issues with handing out literature they might not be familiar with or have read. So I'm going to try and get through some very, very brief excerpts so you're a little more familiar. And if anybody asks you something like, have you read this? Feel free to say, no, but I will, or I am familiar with some excerpts, or as a librarian, read every book in the library. Something along those lines. Okay, so what did I do? This excerpt is called, You May Already Be an Anarchist. It's true. If your idea of healthy human relations is a dinner with friends where everyone enjoys everyone else's company, responsibilities are divided up voluntarily and informally, and no one gives orders or sells anything, then you are an anarchist, plain and simple. The only question that remains is how you can arrange even more of your interactions to resemble this model. Whenever you act without waiting for instructions or official permission, you are an anarchist. If you don't trust the government, the school system, Hollywood, or management to know better than you when it comes to things that affect your life, that's anarchism too. As you can see, it's anarchism that keeps things working and life interesting. If we waited for authorities and specialists and technicians to take care of everything, we would not only be in a world of trouble, but we'd be dreadfully bored and boring to boot. Today we live in a world of that dreadfully boring trouble, precisely to the extent that we advocate responsibility and control. Anarchism is naturally present in every healthy human being. It isn't necessarily about throwing bombs or wearing black masks, though you may have seen that on television. Do you believe everything you see on television? The root of anarchism is the simple impulse to do it yourself. Everything else follows from this. And that's from this, it's called Fighting for Our Lives. And then this one is called False Hope versus Real Change, and it's about whether or not voting is the most effective thing to change. The Bush era is coming to an end, and once again the spectacle of a presidential election captivates the people of the United States. Enticed by vague rhetoric of hope and change against the backdrop of increasing precarity and despite global crisis, millions will rally to vote for a new politician to solve problems the last politician created or failed to alleviate. While we already don't have much choice in a two-party framework, the politicians and the media and their donors assure us we don't have any other meaningful way to make change than to go along and vote for the lesser of two evils. Certainly, the urgency of domestic and global crisis demands that we all take responsibility for radically changing the world. But is voting the only or even the most effective tool that we have? Okay, so those are the literature that we have written down. There's also something I'd like to announce not so loudly. There's a black magic bag here full of mad little ideas. And there are a couple ways to present these ideas to the world, and one is by directly handing them to people, and the other is up to your imagination to figure out. So feel free to peruse the magic of the black bag. So we're basically just going to do some chants once we get across the bridge and around into the downtown area, because there's not many people in the Monroe Valley area for us to be chanting to. So discuss amongst yourselves if you want to enter the park for a picnic or find some other clever ways to lengthen the march. So once we enter the park, we have to put down our signs, and we'll just eat and talk and hand out literature to people who want it, or if you want to walk around and say, here, take this, or we can read it to each other, whatever you want. And also, there's a show tonight at 7 p.m. that everybody should go to, some really awesome folky punk bands. And it's at 7 o'clock on 527 East Black. It's donation basis only, so everybody should go there. Ask again if you want to know the location.
Question.
Yeah.
What's it mean when you get in the park you have to put your sign down? What's
put them down face down, because if they're up, you're technically a vendor, and vendors have to rent the space.
But while we're walking, we can be holding our signs.
Oh, absolutely.
Still. Okay.
And we'll see what else happens.
Once we stop.
So everybody grab some literature, pick a sign, and let's get ready to go.
You marching in the park? No, I understand. We've got the